We have some really good Dungeness crab fishing here in the Pacific Northwest, and in this video we're going to show you how we do it. Here I'm getting the traps ready to deploy. I use a variety of bait. Salmon heads are good, but I happen to be out of those, so I'm using chicken leg quarters for this trap. Attach them to the base of the trap with zip ties. The chicken legs are tied in now. Uh, by the way, the traps are weighted on the bottom with a couple of used zinc anodes that were used on my trim tabs. For our crabbing gear, we use box traps. They have a 4-point harness that's attached to 90 feet of lead core line, 2 buoys on each line. The 2 buoys are not for buoyancy, but just makes it easier to identify which trap is ours. Also easier to determine the current direction when we're retrieving the traps. A simple, complete crab pot kit like this one can be had for less than $100. The traps have one-way swinging doors, one on each side, that allow the crabs to come into the trap, but not to get out. There's also a top hatch, so you can put in the bait and take out the crab. There are two methods I've used for deploying the trap. The one that I used to use is to drop the trap first and then let out the line. By the way, a good tip is storing the line in a bucket helps prevent tangles as the line goes out. But now I've come to believe that the better way to deploy the traps is to throw out the buoys first, and then they let the line run out behind the boat, and then toss in the trap. Now the advantage of this method is that if there are any tangles in the line, that you can sort them out without having to deal with the heavy weight of the trap down below the boat. Next little video clip is a GoPro that's inside of a waterproof case that I put inside the trap. See if I can watch what happens. Unfortunately, there's so little light at the depth of 70 feet that the image, just isn't really that clear. And also the location where I attached the GoPro should be pointed more in a downward direction. So the next time I try this, I'm going to reposition the camera and also maybe pop in a glow stick for illumination and see how that works. And now at this point, I used Adobe to brighten up the video and also speeded it up by a factor of 3. Lorraine and I have moved up to the command bridge after dropping the traps and anchoring, and enjoyed the sunny afternoon watching other boats in the bay. To retrieve the traps, we back up to the floats. I use 2 different color buoys on each trap, so it makes it easy to see which way the current is flowing, so I don't run over the lines. The orange float is the one at the very end, so we approach that one first. Yes, I do have a pot puller, but for crab traps, we only have 90 feet of line out. It's just more convenient to pull them up by hand. We do use leaded line on these pots. We have a decent haul of crabs in this pot. We found that it's not necessary to leave the pots out for that long. These were on the bottom for only about an hour and a half before we hauled them up. Now we have to sort out the males from the females. The females all have to be released, and the males have to measure 6¼ inches across the indents on the carapace. That blue plastic thing that I have in my hand is a crab measuring aid, so I know whether that crab is legal to keep or not. By the way, the headset that you see me wearing there is that allows me to communicate with Lorraine when we're getting close to the buoys as we're backing up and approaching to retrieve the trap. And to determine the sex of a crab, you look at the shape of the abdominal flap on the underside of the crab. Male crabs have a narrow flap, while female crabs have a broader, more rounded flap, kind of like a beehive shape. So it was a good day. We ended up with 12 legal males from these 2 traps, but we're only allowed to keep 5 apiece. So we ended up letting 2 go. Our neighbors took this video of us coming back into the marina. To cook the crab, we steam it for 15 minutes, either using our stove or a large propane-fired cookpot in the driveway. Afterwards, I'm told you're not supposed to do this. If you're looking, you're not cooking.
What are you doing, Bob?
Well, we got a giant pile of crab here that we caught last night and steamed, and now I'm in the process of getting the meat out.
How do you do that?
Well, you break apart each piece, and then I use a pick here, and then that allows me to slowly sort of extract the meat from the different pieces in the shell, the carapace part. And then after I do that, each of the leg segments gets broken into pieces, and then I'll either use a cracker to do it, or sometimes I'll just take a pair of scissors and go one side of each segment, and then that makes it fairly easy to break open, and then you can pick out the meat from there. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.